Bertemu kembali, ekonomi Amerika kini lebih baik menurut Pengerusi Bank Pusat Amerika Simpanan Persekutuan ataupun The Fed, Jerome Powell. Ini turut disokong Kongres Amerika dan Bank Pusat itu yang ambil langkah luar biasa. Namun tegasnya pemulihan masih belum lengkap.
Powell dalam ucapan yang disediakan untuk keterangan kepada Kongres lewat hari ini menjelaskan perbelanjaan isi rumah sudah meningkat. Namun sektor yang masih terkesan akibat peningkatan semula jangkitan COVID-19 di Amerika dan penjarakan sosial kekal lemah. Kadar pengangguran kekal tinggi dan ini menandakan pemulihan masih belum sempurna. Tegas Powell, The Fed akan terus berikan ekonomi Amerika semua sokongan yang ia perlukan untuk pulih selama mana ia perlukan sokongan ini. The Fed dan sektor swasta turut menjangka perbelanjaan pengguna meningkat dan pertumbuhan akan terus dicatatkan. Ini dengan lebih banyak warga Amerika mendapat vaksin dan mula keluar. Ia akan turut disokong dengan pelan rangsangan terkini yang akan berikan cek $1,400 dan potongan cukai kepada pengguna. Dalam keterangan kepada Kongres, Powell dijangka berdepan soalan berkenaan risiko polisi The Fed yang sangat menyokong ini. The Fed sebelum ini jelaskan kini bukanlah masa untuk membincangkan pengurangan pembelian bond yang dilakukannya. Inflasi dijangka meningkat kepada 2.4% tahun ini di ekonomi terbesar dunia itu. Namun ia mungkin menurun dan tidak cukup lama untuk capai sasaran The Fed untuk tingkatkan kadar faedah.
Dan persoalan yang sama bermain di minda ramai pihak. Adakah polisi mudah dan suntikan tunai di Amerika ini akan akibatkan ekonomi negara tersebut menjadi panas atau overheat? Adakah ini baik untuk ekonomi Amerika yang bergantung besar kepada perbelanjaan pengguna? Secara amnya, ekonomi yang panas atau overheat bermaksud pertumbuhan perbelanjaan pengguna, perniagaan dan kerajaan dan permintaan akan lebih tinggi daripada pengeluaran. Ini akan wujudkan inflasi dan juga kadar inflasi di Amerika tahun ini dijangka naik sehingga 2.4%. Kita bersama Ketua Pakar Ekonomi JUY-IQI Shan Said untuk membincangkan perkara tersebut. Shan, last week the Fed maintained its dovish stance that it would not increase the interest rates till 2023. What's the basic premise of this philosophy?
Rizal, if you see, Fed has been saying that they will not increase interest rates. But on the ground information is that inflation is moving at a very fast pace. If you recall, in 2017, 2018, Jerome Powell, under President Trump, he said, I will keep on increasing the interest rate. And then he was sent a message very politely, whether you want to increase interest rate or whether you want to go home. So he started decreasing the interest rate. So he has a very bad track record of misleading the market. And again, if you pick up Sunday's Wall Street Journal, Financial Times, it clearly mentions that, the markets are nervous and investors are worried because when you keep on repeating the same thing, that I'm not going to increase interest rate by 23 or 24, the markets are anticipating that Fed chair is going to panic. And once he is going to panic, he will raise interest rates and that will be devastating for the market. And if you see, I have got this book because I know what will happen in the market. This is Milton Friedman's book, who predicted 31 years back how Fed is going to create inflation and how Fed is going to create crisis. So I think markets are getting ready and they are anticipating that the market will tank and it will be, quite a turmoil in the market in the next 2 to 3 quarters.
And Shan, will Powell allow the economy to heat up or achieve maximum employment and strong economic growth? Does it look possible, taking into account the fragilities in the market, especially in Europe and the UK? Is there a risk that the US economy will overheat?
Pragmatically speaking, it's not possible to have what Jerome Powell is, following his philosophy. And Powell doctrine has been wrong in the last 3 to 4 years. So I think what he wants to try to achieve at this point of time, it doesn't look pragmatic. So I think what philosophy is following is quite far off because taking into account the other economies like UK and Europe, they are struggling. They are struggling badly because of poor policy response to COVID-19. So I don't think what the Powell doctrine, as they say, it will achieve its purpose. And it will be a misfire in the market, and markets are not believing what Jerome Powell is saying to them.
But Jerome Powell will give a statement or testimony to the Congress today and also tomorrow. What can be expected from that? The same thing or maybe something a bit more nuanced, and investors will probably zoom in on that?
Again, same old story, nothing new. The economy is stabilizing. We are heading to recovery mode. So I think the markets are anticipating that Jerome Powell make the same statement, but they don't make any financial or economic sense out of that.
And do you think there's too much optimism from the Fed, from IMF, from World Bank, as if there's no COVID and economies were running as per normal? I think they have also relook at their expectations for growth this year for many of the economies, and they're expecting growth to be increasing later part of this year with the implementation of the vaccination or vaccine, the COVID-19 vaccine. What do you make of that? What is your view when it comes to all these different bodies sharing this rosy picture when it comes to the economy?
I think what many people are sharing, as you rightly said, there is too much of optimism. But the ground reality is 50% of the global economy, 50% of the economies are still locked down. How can you have an economic recovery when 50% of the global economy is locked down? There is no economic momentum. Look at Europe, look at Africa, look at UK, look at Japan. Those economies are still struggling. So I think, as you know, I don't follow any report from World Bank or IMF or Asian Development Bank. We follow our own global insight, our networking. I think global economy will recover. It will take some time, but the too much optimism that many policymakers are having in the advanced economies, I think it's quite delusional.
So what are your intelligence saying when it comes to these, the recovery this year and also next year? Will it be better? Will it be stronger than what the Fed, IMF and World Bank issued earlier?
I think it all depends on one factor, and that is how effective the governments are in having a policy instrument to handle this virus, because everybody is worried about this virus. If you look at, there's a clear schism between West and the East. East is rising much faster. They have the policy instruments. Governments in ASEAN, Asia, China, they have done a much better job as compared to Europe, as compared to UK, as compared to America, or as compared to Japan. So I think the biggest factor for global economy to recover is how effective the government policies are in handling this COVID-19.
And on that note, is there a risk that economies in Asia could go into an overheat?
I don't think the economies are going to overheat, but one factor that will keep Asian economies on the growth path is macroeconomic stability. It depends on aggregate demand. It again depends on investment. So if you see overall, all these three variables are pointing towards positive growth mode. So I think Asia, ASEAN, China will have a much better growth in the next 1 to 2 years as compared to Europe, as compared to many advanced economies in North America.
Let's talk about the rising and stronger US dollar. What's the impact on emerging markets, and can we see some volatility in the emerging markets?
If you see in the last 2 years, dollar has been stronger in the first and the second quarter, and we have seen funds flowing out of emerging markets and going into US. And as we have moved into H2, dollar stayed weaker, and again the funds got out of US and they've flown back into emerging markets. So we see similar pattern happening this year as well. Funds will have outflow from emerging markets. US dollar will stay stronger in the first, second quarter, and then US dollar will have a weaker outlook in the third and fourth quarter. So I think emerging markets will have some volatility. They will have some turbulent times in the short run, but going forward, emerging markets will have a much better inflow from global investors.
Speaking of a stronger dollar, are you still sticking with your outlook for ringgit?
Absolutely, Rizal. I always make one statement. At the start of the year, we said ringgit will be trading between 3.67 and 4.10. We continue to maintain that stance for this year as well.
And share with us, can the Bank Negara use tactical maneuvering to lower SPR or OPR this year? Does it have room to play around in the monetary space?
Absolutely, Rizal. Bank Negara has played its card very intelligently last year and this year as well. So at 175, Bank Negara has plenty of room to play around. So I expect if economy needs some support, Bank Negara will lower the OPR, the discount rate, by 25 to 50 basis points this year.
How will that affect ringgit, and is that good for a country like Malaysia?
If you look at the macro picture, obviously Bank Negara has got three mandates. One is growth stability, price stability, and employment stability. They will continue to follow its mandate, and I think it's possible that Bank Negara will chip in along with fiscal policy to support the economy at the macro level, which is required at the moment.
I know we didn't plan for this, but Shan, can you share with us your thoughts on the recent discussion between the US and also China that happened in Alaska? Will that talk perhaps produce a second phase trade deal between those two countries, or is there no possibility of that happening?
If I see the meeting, it was a very tense meeting, and US thought that they can give dictation to China. China is not in 1978 or 1979 mode, where 400 million Chinese were poor. Now China is a rich country. There are more billionaires in China as compared to US. China will not take anyone's dictation or anyone's lecture in terms of human rights, in terms of economic outlook. So I think moving forward, we see China and US will have a very tense relationship for this year and for next year as well.
On that note, thank you very much, Shan Said, Ketua Pakar Ekonomi Juwai IQM, bincangkan berkenaan dengan unjuran dan juga situasi ekonomi di Amerika Syarikat serta pertumbuhan dan juga apakah jangkaan yang akan dicakapkan oleh Jerome Powell dalam penerangannya kepada Kongres Amerika pada hari ini, lewat hari ini dan juga hari esok. Kita akan berhenti berehat sekali lagi, kembali selepas ini.